Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about Starfinder and what went wrong. All right, so Starfinder was recently released. There was a lot on the line. Paizo's growth was on the line. Changing that company and changing the industry was on the line, in my opinion. And the reason why was Paizo's in trouble because Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition is back, and they've made a lot of money with a skin of D&D that was made viable by the failure of 4th edition, okay? Now, it is my opinion that that Starfinder did not accomplish the goals for it. Here's why I believe that, okay? Starfinder's out. As I look at YouTube and the community and the blogs, I don't see a lot of talk about Starfinder, okay? I don't really feel it captured the zeitgeist. It's not the hot new game, and this is the period where it would logically be the hot new game. In addition to that, James L. Sutter, major contributor on the game, probably one of the main writers, just left Paizo. In addition to that, Lewis Porter Jr., top Pathfinder third-party creator. What's he spending his time doing right now? Looking for someone to convert Pathfinder Adventures to 5e. All those, that's a lot of signals, in my opinion. So I believe that Starfinder did not accomplish the goals it was built to accomplish, okay? All right, so what went wrong, right? So here's what happened. One, Starfinder, so I really feel, in summary, putting this in tabletop role-playing game terms, what happened was Paizo, basically when you're going to make a skill check in a tabletop role-playing game, you stack up all your benefits, you make your D20 roll, and you hope for that 20, right? But if you get an 18 or a 19, or maybe all the way down to a 16, with your benefits, with your bonuses stacked up, maybe you make it, and you make that skill check, right? Paizo didn't even do that. They just took 10 and took their base, bonuses, and said, we got an 8, we got a 17, right? And it was just, Starfinder is a big old pile, in my opinion, of compromise and a failure to commit, right? Now, I'll explain where I think the breakpoints were, okay? And also, if it seems like I'm being harsh on Starfinder, I am. And the reason why is, I really feel the creation of Starfinder, the release of Starfinder, is a historically important event in the history of tabletop role-playing games. Like, this was the denouement from the success of Pathfinder. This is, the ride down, right? And they've got it, they've got to scramble out. And Starfinder, Paizo does. Starfinder was their shot for that. So that's why I really feel like this game didn't have the luxury of being okay, right? Because there's just too much on the line. All right, so with that said, what actually happened? So Pathfinder is an incredibly Starfinder is an incredibly complex game. It has races, it has classes, it has worlds, it has rules. It is 530 pages long, right? Anything with that level of complexity is going to force you to make forking choices, right? Where you have to think at the beginning and say, we have to make this choice now. And this will change the fundamental nature of the product, okay? Now, you have to do that if you want it to be a great product. If you want to do what they did, which is like, let's throw everything in, like pasta, or like a casserole, right? Then, nobody likes casserole. If you have to make forking choices. And so here are the forking choices that were involved in Pathfinder. First, the first decision they had to make when they came to the table is this, when they made Starfinder, is Starfinder Pathfinder in space, right? And I think they should have answered that no, right? They should have, there's so many problems with Starfinder. So I think, at the end of the day, they should have said, okay, listen, we got this great big, science fiction world that we want to create. We want to create a really cool, unique, awesome new world, right? So I think what they should have done is they should have said, listen, man, you know, it doesn't make sense to make Pathfinder a space game. And I'm going to talk a little more in depth on that in a minute. All right. But, and then they say, listen, let's go to our fans and say, listen, fans, we have provided incredibly high quality games with awesome art and awesome writing, and a whole bunch of copied rules from 3.5, for 10 years, right? We feel that we've earned your trust. We're doing something new. Can you please give us your goodwill and your support on this new thing? This isn't what you're used to playing, and but we would really like you to come along. And I'm going to admit, that would have been an incredibly hard sell. And the reason why is, by nature, Paizo Pathfinder fans are the least likely to group in any community to follow anybody to a new product. Okay? All right. So then the other thing that they would have done is they're going to go, and here's the problem. They pretended to do what I'm just about to say. Make Pathfinder in space. Make Starfinder Pathfinder in space, right? Well, if you're going to do that, you need to do it, right? So the first thing that would have right now, elves, dwarves, and humans. Elves and dwarves, which, what is Pathfinder without elves and dwarves? It's not Pathfinder, right? So if you don't have your fantasy races in the game, if you don't have tieflings and all that stuff, right, then you're not really playing Pathfinder in space, right? And so what I would have done is I would have baked in, and right now they're like, oh, they're here. They're shoved in the back of the book in an appendix. They're not called a core race anywhere, and they're not really built into the game in a way that you would actually use them and play, right? But they're here. They're here at casserole. It's casserole, man. They failed to commit, right? So here's what they should have done. If you're going to make Starfinder Pathfinder in space, then you have to commit to that, right? You have to put humans, dwarves, and elves as the primaries, right? And then you would have had to cut about 3 or 4 of the races that they put in there, and then just have the Yusoki and the Vesp and the Shirin. The Shooter copy of the Shirin anyway. So, and then the Kasathas stink because you got a dude who has 4 arms who can't make 4 attacks. Come on. This entire game is a failure to commit. It's casserole. It's compromise left and right. Okay? And by the way, if I seem kind of wound up about this, it's because I like Paizo. I believe they make the best. The pawn sets are a true innovation. The subscriber model was a true innovation. And I wanted them to be around. And also, I'm wound up because, in my opinion, the failure of Starfinder is a huge problem for the health of the industry. The whole industry hurts because Starfinder didn't knock it out of the park. And everybody who is thinking about going into this industry now has to think again. Well, there's less big dogs out there. There's less people doing it right and making a lot of money, Or, well, nobody in tabletop role-playing games is making a lot of money, but is making good money. Okay, so, all right, so let's keep going from there, right? So they really should have committed and just made it what it was, okay? All right, now here's the other issue, right? If you were going to do Starfinder as Pathfinder in space, right, then you would have the humans, dwarves, and elves there. And guess what else you would have? You would have their deities. Starfinder does not have Galarian deities. They're all dead. They're all gone, right? Which makes no sense, right? In my opinion. And here is the number one problem of Starfinder. It's religion, okay? It's deities. They are cocked up, and you don't have human, dwarf, and elf deities, right? And since they're not in place, it makes absolutely no sense that magic is in the game. Which means that the mystic makes no sense, the technomancer makes no sense, and here's what makes no sense, right? You have in this game Talk to Dead as a spell with magic, and you have telepathy, right? Telepathy comes from science fiction games, and psionics, come from science fiction that says, hey, magic isn't real, but we are we are human beings who can unlock the power of the mind, and the mental abilities of natural humans could allow us to speak across the stars and all this kind of stuff. You know, it's like humanism, right? It's essentially secular humanism. You can't have a game that has telepathy, a secular humanist idea in it, sitting right next to a cleric or a guy who's using the same spells that a cleric used a while ago. It just does not make sense. And if you think I'm wrong, take a look at the history section of Pathfinder, of the failed Pathfinder in space, of Starfinder, right? Look at the history section. It goes, before 300 years before now, nobody remembers what happened in history. And here's what that really means. We don't know how all this mixes together. We know it's a hot mess, and we can't explain it to you in the history, so we're going to obscure history. We're going to shroud it, right? And it's just, it was bad, all right? So those are the problems. Those are the big problems. There were some missed opportunities in the game, okay? I watch a lot of anime, and one of the things I'm starting to see in anime, and this is starting to, and this concept is coming over from anime into American television products, okay? And what you see there is you see a very interesting perspective on how and why things work the way they do, okay? And, for characters and mechs, but let's just talk about characters, okay? So anime characters are designed very, very specifically, right? They are given a team, and that team designs their clothes, it designs how they talk, it designs their hair, it designs their physical appearance, there's an entire team that works on every single major character, not ancillary characters, major characters in the show, okay? And then they do this, and they've started to do the same things for mechs, right? Well, Starfinder needed that. They needed teams to deliver all of these specific races, right? And in my opinion, that would have been a lot of money, right? They needed teams to design outfits, gears, anatomy, social and cultural, the ships in the game, the politics, the environments, everything. You needed teams to deal with this, right? And the reason anime does this, these characters are on screen so much, you need them to be amazing, right? And you can't just leave it up to a designer, up to a writer. You need designers for this. That would have taken a lot of money, right? So where are you going to get that money? Another missed opportunity, product placement. Product placement needs to come into tabletop role-playing games. Here's how you would have created product placement in Starfinder. You would have, the Yosoki and the Vesk, right? You go to Adidas and you say, okay, listen, the Yosoki they're all going to have black and white fur, right? And the name of their world is going to be an anagram of Adidas, or the creator of Adidas, right? And then we're going to put the Adidas symbol on the credits page, right? And then Nike is going to be, and then the Vesk, their home world is going to be an anagram of the creator of Nike, and there'll be the color of the vests will come in this year's colorways, right? And that would have given them the money to hire those teams, and they would have gotten a lot of, like, even if people didn't like it, people would have been talking about it. And if you think I'm wrong, right? Fantasy Flight Games, they won Star Wars. They got the ability to create that game. They had a gold mine sitting in front of them, and they took the risk, right? They said, we now own the Star Wars tabletop role-playing game. Yeah, let's do this, man. And you know what they did? They created narrative dice. They said, let's not use regular dice. Let's use dice that have weird symbols on them that nobody knows how to use, that it will take multiple sessions to learn how to use, that have to be interpreted by the GM on every single roll. Man, if you had been standing back there and there were people, that game was denied denied. There's a lot of rumors that the game was denied a lot of rewards in the first 2 years of its creation because because judges hated the dice system so much and hated the idea of custom dice coming into the game. But they rolled the dice. They stacked up their benefits and they rolled it and they hit a 20, right? Whereas Paizo just took 10 and added their bonuses. And that's why Starfinder is where it's at. And that's why you see these signifiers. Starfinder did not accomplish the goals it was set out to do. Take care.